The story begins as a group of warriors take on some kind of rock monster. This giant's face gets all sliced up by these warriors, as it is explained to us that all members of a party have various roles, such as attacker and healer. Our protagonist is different, though. His name is Rudd, and he is a tank. Red saves a girl named Neen from getting squashed, as it's the tank's job to draw all enemy attacks and protect the other members. Being a tank isn't the most glamorous position among powerful adventurers, but this is a story of how our boy Rudd changes all of that and becomes the protagonist. After the battle, Rudd imagines finally reuniting with his sister Manisha, whom he had to leave for battle. Neen snaps him out of it before he embarrasses himself even further, but Red is upset that she interrupted him. She reminds him that they are at a guild, and everyone has been watching their weirdo because he was making weird faces. Neen wishes he would think more about her instead, but Red crushes her soul when he declines. Rudd gets real serious as he explains that he doesn't want to think about anything else since his little sister has an incurable disease, and his only hope is the secret treasure of the labyrinth that is set to grant any wish. This hope isn't looking too good now, though, as Red thinks about how he failed everyone in the battle against the rock golem. Neen tells this absolute failure that he shouldn't feel bad at all since he did do his job. It just didn't make sense how fast his absorb shield was depleting, even though he didn't get hit. Red reveals that it wasn't just that one instance. Recently, whenever they entered the labyrinth, his absorb shield had been depleting for some mysterious reason. He has had to consume a bunch of potions, so he apologizes for making things difficult for Neen as their healer. She once again tells him to stop apologizing since he always does a good job protecting her. Neen then glazes him up a bit by pointing out that his absorb shield has a value of 99,999, which makes it the highest value shield to ever exist. Just then, spectators marvel as the one they call the hero arrives. He is the one who has beaten numerous labyrinths despite being so young. But this guy is clearly very arrogant. Everyone practically drools over this guy as he is the hero known as Keese. He apologizes to Rudd for being late and then welcomes Lilia and Lily, who are standing way too close to each other. Keese introduces them to their new party members, but Neen is furious. She reminds Keese that only parties of up to 6 people are allowed to enter the labyrinth. The addition of the 2 new members would make their group 7. Keese has a real dark side as he reveals that their party will be down to 6 very soon and kicks Red out of the party. Of course, Rudd demands to hear a reason. So Keese, the absolute jerk, tells him that it's because he's a useless tank. A look back at the golem fight shows that Red was shaking after blocking the monster's attack. Keese did the typical hero thing to defeat their opponent, but he was upset that Rudd instantly lost a significant portion of his shield. That was the final straw as he determined that the party wouldn't be able to make any progress with Red as their tank. Neen, still furious, points out that Rudd was blocking the attacks, but for some mysterious reason, his absorb shield was still depleting. Keese thinks it's because of the 2 skills Rudd has that have unknown effects. Neen tries to defend him, but Keese isn't interested in hearing excuses and reminds the little chick that they all could have lost their lives. The new members he found are better anyway. They are evasion tanks that have become very popular these days. Evasion tanks are able to fight while dodging enemy attacks, which is way better than Rudd, who can only defend. Keese kicks him out for good, so Rudd just accepts the decision. Keese is a serious jerk, though, and stops Rudd from leaving just yet. He explains that they didn't make any money from the golem battle, so he will have to take something from him. Keese really rubs the failure in as he tells Red that he is just an incompetent tank that wastes his absorb shield. Keese then leaves with Red's sword while he laughs like an evil maniac. The conjoined twins known better as they thank Red and wish him luck. Red apologizes to Neen since she was the one that invited him to join her party, but he just wasn't good enough. Neen wonders if this is really goodbye, but Red tells her to come visit him in his hometown one day. He hopes that day will come soon, and Neen tears up at the kind words. She puts up a tough exterior, though, and says that she won't miss him. Afterwards, Red thinks about what to do next as he can't go to his hometown yet. He wonders if Keese was right about Rudd's own skills chipping away at his absorb shield without him realizing. He wishes he could figure out what his mystery skills do, but adventurers with the identify skill are extremely rare. His depressing train of thought is interrupted when he hears a group questioning if they can handle an escort job with just the 3 of them. Our eavesdropping protagonist overhears that they are headed to Kiris, and his hometown is on the way. Red approaches them, and we see just how big our boy is as he towers over the normal-sized humans. Rudd asks if he could join them and doesn't even need them to pay him. Even though our boy is clearly a giant, these dweebs wonder what rank he is. Rudd is actually only F rank. but it's because he has spent all his time in labyrinths. Rudd hesitates to answer, but one of the little people recognizes him from the hero party. This height-deficient group stops being so skeptical and now begs Rudd to join them. The old guy they will be escorting is glad to hear that they have a new member, but he has all his money tied up in crypto, so he can't pay them more money. As they begin traveling, Red feels bad for not telling them his rank, almost like he tricked them. If you really think about it, he could just tell them now, but he decides to just protect the wagon as best he can. Their little journey begins, and we see that their group endures a little battle. They also enjoy a meal and even have some type of love story going on as two of the short stacks make out in the woods. One foggy night, the old man wonders if they should rest soon. Rudd doesn't care how tired Grandpa is and tells him that they're nearly at Cyrus. He doesn't have a good feeling about something, so they will head straight there. Red determines that they will be fine as long as they watch out for ambushes, but he is shocked by something. He stops the wagon and tells the group to quiet down. Rudd goes alone to check if it's bandits, but when the fog clears, everyone is shocked to see that it's just a girl. Rudd doesn't sense anyone else nearby and determines that it isn't a trap. So he checks up on the girl. This girl is terrified for some reason, so Red tries to be nice to her. A gust of wind reveals that this girl has a gemstone embedded in her chest, but before Red can say anything, a monster appears. It's a forest snake, so the little gem girl runs for cover, and old Grandpa explains that the monster's poison is deadly. The others are apparently cowards, as they instantly give up without even trying. They are certain that their lives will end as the snake goes to attack them, but our boy Rudd uses his provoke ability to attract its attention. The thing spits its poison out at our protagonist, but he blocks it with his oversized shield. Some of the snake's extremely dangerous poison burns right through Red's clothes, but he tells the others not to worry. He has a skin skill that protects him from all status effects. Red tells the others to attack while he distracts the creature, but our boy really picked the wrong group of people to join, as they have no clue where to even start. The snake decides to just knock everyone back, and Rudd slams into a tree. Rudd has a vision of his sister calling out to him, though, and he wakes up. He refuses to let his life end here and gives an inspiring speech to his lackluster group. Red points out that he doesn't have a sword right now, so it's up to them to cut the snake down. They still seem pretty lost, so Rudd talks to them like they are brain dead and instructs them to grab their weapons and move their bodies. Rudd rushes the snake while commanding everyone to work together, and his teammates finally seem ready. Rudd declares that he is the strongest tank and proclaims that he will block all of the snake's attacks. All his team will have to do is believe in their strength, and he guarantees they will win. Red has prepared the perfect moment for them to attack and instructs them to move in. The newly inspired group follows his orders and manages to kind of do something to the snake. The old man freaks out and points out the obvious. He states that the snake is preparing to land a final blow, and they need to dodge it. The snake is going right for Rudd, but he determines that he cannot dodge the attack. It's more like he refuses to dodge, though, as he knows that there is meaning in blocking the killing blow. Rudd then heroically blocks the snake, making the perfect opening for the others to follow up. They combine their power and even amaze themselves when they finally manage to defeat the giant snake. The group acknowledges that they couldn't have done it themselves. Red is a pretty big guy himself, so he knows a thing or two about dealing with a giant snake, and he tells the others that what really mattered was that they work together. He instructs them to carve up the snake while he goes to check on the mysterious gem girl. He finds that she was running from the snake, but she has nowhere to go. These two literally speak for like 10 seconds, but he offers to take her back to his hometown, and she agrees. Or doesn't want Chris Hansen getting the wrong idea, though, so he decides that she needs some clothes. Old Grandpa just happens to have clothing for little girls laying around and gives it to them as a thank you. Grandpa wonders if she is an escaped slave, and our boy can sense that she is a homunculus. Homunculi serve humans as slaves, so they normally don't travel alone. There must be some mysterious circumstance behind why she is in the forest. Red points out that slave traders luckily wouldn't enter such a dangerous forest, and she wasn't wearing a collar like all slaves in anime do. This girl is definitely a mystery, but Red decides to look after her for a while. The next day, Red leaves the others after reaching their destination, but the group wants him to join their party. They would be honored to adventure with a strong tank like him, but Red reveals that he needs to find the secret treasure. This group knows about it well, as this treasure is said to be able to grant any wish and even has the ability to create. Huli, the little albino girl, is shocked to hear this word, but this group doesn't know that she is one and openly talk about how much they hate homunculi. They do some serious trash talk, talking about how expressionless they are and how they don't show any passion in what they do. What's even scarier about the Huli is that the only way to visually distinguish them from humans is the magic stone on their chest. Red is the only one that seems to notice that the girl is upset about what they are saying, so he quiets them down, and the little girls show some relief. They begin their own journey. Red introduces himself, but in typical anime fashion, this girl reveals that she doesn't have a name. Some Lunaf petals are flying around everywhere, so Red decides to call her Luna. Red fears that he might have offended her somehow, but she actually loves the name. That night, Luna spots some rabid-filled wolves and shocks Red when she springs into action to eliminate them all. This confirms what Red was already thinking. Luna must be an illegally created homunculus. This was made clear when she showed the will and emotions other homunculi lack. On top of that, she can even fight. Illegally created homunculi must be disposed of, but her frightened gaze reminds Red of his little sister. The little girl apologizes for ruining dinner, but Red says it's okay. More importantly, he wants to know why Luna didn't just destroy the forest snake since she is clearly strong enough. Luna explains that she is skilled in magic but doesn't have a single melee skill. This is surprising to Red, and he determines that she must just be able to imitate the effects of skills. She goes over her list of spells, but he is shocked when he hears that she can use the Identify skill. Identify is a very rare skill. Only one other person in the neighboring kingdom has it, but that person was said to have passed away a few years ago. This means that, as of right now, Luna is the only person in the world with the Identify skill. Red desperately wants to know about the two mysterious skills he has, so he asks her to use Identify on him. She does so and reveals that Red has 4 skills. One is called Healthy Body. It makes him immune to status effects, boosts his natural healing, and makes his body as tough as possible. The next is Provoke. It has the ability to focus an enemy's attention on him. Those are the 2 Red already knew about, so he prepares himself to hear the 2 unknown ones. One of these mystery skills is called Life Conversion. This allows him to convert the absorbed shield that he has depleted into strength. Red has the highest absorbed shield value to ever exist, and now there is a way to use it offensively. Red couldn't use it before, so he determines that some skills can't be activated unless the person understands them. Red's final skill is called Shield of Sacrifice. This skill allows him to treat the absorbed shield of his allies as his own. While protecting his allies, both his allies' toughness and his own increase. This means that, while making them tougher, he can also take the damage of others. Things finally start to make sense as Red realizes that he was taking damage without realizing it because he was using Shield of Sacrifice to protect his party members' absorbed shields. Red lets out a laugh as he has been worrying about his unknown skills for the longest time, but he never thought it would be resolved this easily. Red thanks his new little friend, and she is glad she could be helpful. As they arrive at his hometown, Red thinks about the irony. He was kicked out of his party for having skills with unknown effects, but he actually had the ultimate skills for protecting his allies. Knowing this, he can return to his hometown with his head held high and finally see his sister again. The moment our protagonist steps into town, he is greeted by a redhead that wants to hang out immediately. She is on her way to buy a hammer, and their friend named Philly is there on patrol. These two watch over his sister Manisha, so Red is glad that he can depend on them when he goes on adventures. Melon introduces herself to Luna as the town's blacksmith, but Luna is terrified. Philly explains that she works as a sub-leader for the town watch, but it's clear that she is just as shy as Luna. The group chats it up for a bit, and Luna finally gets comfortable around the silly bunch. At his house, the two are careful not to make too much noise, as his sister might be sleeping. But he's surprised when she appears to welcome him. Red explains that he will be taking care of the little albino girl, so Manisha tells her to make herself at home. Manisha goes to prepare an extra meal for Luna, but Red wants his sickly sister to rest. Manisha explains that she's feeling good today, so the two agree to cook together. Luna rudely points out that there is something clearly wrong with Manisha's hair, and Red explains that it's called physical idiosyncrasy. This means that Manisha's hair moves according to her emotions. Manisha seemed to know that Red was coming home, and it was because of her skill. Red is thankful that she made his favorite dish, and Luna points out that they are really close. They all sit to enjoy their meal, but Luna is some kind of barbarian, as she doesn't know how a spoon works. She goes overboard with her apology and explains that she has only ever used a spoon a few times. A look back shows a glimpse of her slave days and her epic struggle to hold a spoon. Luna promises not to fail them again, but the two point out that she needs to stop being such a drama queen. Manisha gives her some pro tips on spoon using and tells her to take her time learning, as she will be teaching her one thing at a time. Red is glad to hear that, and Luna thanks her. A little montage shows them teaching her a bunch of stuff, and Luna surprises them one day by cooking an entire meal. The food is delicious, and Red is amazed that she has mastered every basic skill in such a short amount of time. This is a bit strange, though. He wonders if it's because she is a homunculus. Manisha brings Luna a dress to change into, but Luna just rushes off with it awkwardly. Manisha can't figure out the little weirdo, but Red assumes that Luna was just worried about Manisha seeing the magic stone in her chest. While showing Luna around the town of Avansha, Red explains that they don't have a guild or a church, and its most remarkable feature is some little orchard. The red-headed girl's father wants Red to marry his daughter, but he declines and instead asks him to make a replacement for the sword that was stolen from him. The blacksmith plans to have his daughter help him, and he suggests that Red show Luna the monstrous farm. Red does just that and explains that monstrous vegetables are plants that grow into monsters. They only need mana to grow, so they can be grown all year round. Some little nerds come to bug our hero, but some old lady tells the kids to go back to doing their child labor. Luna has some serious PTSD from her time as a slave, so she shakes uncontrollably. Instead of being worried about her, the old woman just wonders if she is Rudd's girlfriend. Rudd, of course, explains that they're just travel companions and introduces Luna to the old lady Grandma Gigi, the town's apothecary. She is the one that makes medicine for Manisha, but she wishes she could do more for Red's sister. Gigi asks Luna to help harvest some monster spinach, and some of Red's old friends arrive to help. They all have a grand old time, and our protagonist walks away with some weird vegetables for all the trouble. Red makes things a bit awkward by complimenting Luna, but he quickly changes the subject by having her try the vegetables. She thinks the giant tomatoes are delicious, and Red wonders what she thinks about his town. Luna really likes how nice everyone is there, and she would be extremely happy if she could stay there forever. Just then, Luna reminds him of the magic stone in her chest and dramatically reveals that she is not human. She is a battle homunculus that was developed in a neighboring nation. Luna apologizes for not telling him sooner and explains that she thought he would end her life if he knew she was a homunculus. She is grateful for how nice he has been, so she couldn't continue lying. Red reveals that he actually knew she was a hum this entire time, and Luna can't understand why he helped her. Red reveals that before coming to this town, he and his sister lived in the slums. Luna's eyes look just like Manisha's did back then, so he couldn't just leave her. Red wonders if she would rather live as a homunculus or a human, but Luna believes she doesn't have a choice. Red points out that he has never heard about homunculi not being able to become human. Besides that, he enters labyrinths for a similar reason. He is searching for the secret treasure that may or may not exist in order to cure Manisha's illness. They are both chasing shadows, so he thinks that's the perfect reason for them to get along. Red's words pierce her homunculus heart, and she wishes to become human. The two agree to chase their goals together and happily shake on it. When they return home, Luna wants to reveal her secret to Manisha and explains to Red that she doesn't want to hide it from those she is close to. Luna just comes right out and tells her that she is a homunculus and apologizes for keeping it a secret. Manisha knew there was something off about the kid, but she still asks Luna to continue being friends with her. Luna, of course, accepts, and Manisha points out that Red must have known this whole time. Red helps those that no one else will, and he has always been that way. Sometime later, Red finishes up cleaning the entire mansion, and everyone rushes to get a taste of Manisha's world-class tea. Luna points out to Red how popular his sister is, but Red is long gone and on his way to get some tea. Red explains that being the first to drink the tea makes it taste even better, but Philly is there to point out that Red really does have an unhealthy obsession with all things involving his sister. Red wonders if Manisha is feeling okay after making the tea, but she just tells him that he worries too much. She may not be in great health, but she doesn't want to hold him back. Red explains that she has never once held him back, but he is interrupted when his boys ask him to duel. Red thinks this is actually perfect and tells the others that he wants to duel Philly first. Outside, Red explains to her that he wants to test his previously unknown skills in a mock battle, and he picked her since he knows that he won't have to hold back against the town guard sub-leader. They agree that the one whose absorbed shield is depleted more loses, and the fight begins. The two strangely don't move at all, and some guy points out that their fighting styles don't emphasize speed. The first to move is Philly, but Red blocks her attack. She continues her assault on his shield, and Red can tell that she has gotten much stronger since they last fought. Her attacks feel very heavy, so Red knows that if one of her strikes lands, he is a goner. Luna can't believe how strong Philly is, and Manisha explains that the town guard is really just a bunch of youngsters who didn't move to the city. Few of them are actually skilled fighters, but Philly and Rudd are special cases. She admits that they should be putting their skills to use in a bigger city. All the nerds in the crowd cheer for Philly to finally knock Rudd down for once, so Luna counters them by cheering for Rudd. Manisha joins her, but they just manage to distract him. Red gets scratched by the attack and decides to use his new ability to use the damage to his benefit. Things get a bit dicey when Red falls off balance, but he composes himself just in time to smash his shield right into Philly. She goes flying and is stunned when she realizes that his one blow took out her entire absorbed shield. Everyone in the crowd is stunned to see that Red has finally learned an offensive skill but can't understand how he was able to destroy Philly's absorbed shield that has a value of 2,500. Philly wants to know what that incredible skill he used was, and Red reveals that it's his life conversion skill. It allows him to convert depleted shield power into strength. He can't use it all the time, but their little battle showed him that it's very powerful. Rudd thinks about how until now, he is always focused on defending as a tank. However, going forward and thanks to his life conversion skill, he will also be able to do some attacking. Red is ready to take on all challengers, but all the cowards watching conveniently remember that they have other things to do. The girls admire how strong Red is, but Manisha can't help but compare herself to him. A look back shows that their parents abandoned Manisha and planned to only raise Red. They dragged Red away, and from how sickly Manisha appeared, it was clear that she wouldn't last much longer. However, Red would return to rescue her. Manisha wakes up from the memory dream and thinks about how Red has always come to save her in the end. Of course, she must wonder if her brother is actually happy though and questions if he would be living more freely if it wasn't for her. Thanks for watching my recap. Don't forget to subscribe.